Yeah, so we got to drink a little bit, had a little hooch. In his cell, because he had a cell by himself, got to use the bathroom. And once I started using the bathroom, he just came up behind me and just grabbed me and put me on the bed.
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just ain't real. Real life street stars. You know what time it is.
All right. So again, as far as you want to take this, again, I'm not gonna have you reenact the whole thing, but as far as you want to take it, the day of this happening,
The first time,
what can you walk us through as far as what happened? Like, how did you not see it coming? If you don't mind me asking.
because we were just kind of like,
What? Okay, so
I know the question. Because again, I had already been hanging out with him most of the day in, day out, sitting in the cell, talking, rapping. I think we had started drinking a little bit because they had hooch.
The hooch.
So,
Yeah, hooch, yeah.
Yeah, so
People
we
don't
got
know.
to drink a little bit, had a little hooch. In his cell, because he had a cell by himself, got to use the bathroom. And once I started using the bathroom, he just came up behind me and just grabbed me and put me on the bed. And
So let me ask.
that's a big dude too.
Yeah, because he's like you say, he was a country bumpkin type dude. Are you physically trying to fight this out? Because again, from you're 21 years old, you're 150.
about as much as I could, be honest with you. It ain't like I just say, oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and do it. No, I tussled a little bit about as much as I could, but again, because how he caught me off guard, coming behind me, and he was a bigger guy, just...
So mind you, and this is all hindsight now, he'd been plotting this, or at least just let's say he didn't plot it, but he'd been testing you and then he got you to this point. Do you feel at the moment that, like, what do you feel was going through his head? Like, oh, I've been waiting to do this, or this is just in the moment. This is just what it is, man. Like, do you go through? Because mind you, we're gonna get to it, but you were probably trying to get commission to do some harm back to this man. But do you feel like he was like, this man? I let. Do you feel guilt? Be like, man, I led this dude into this situation to make this happen. Do you feel like any of that was your fault, or you feel like, man, he just really took advantage, and I need to do some harm to this man?
I felt like he took advantage all the way up until I need to do some harm, because after everything was over with, I just kind of wanted to everything just be over with.
To be over.
Then I was hoping he didn't tell nobody. I was hoping nothing ever came out of it. I just stopped hanging around him, but I don't really know how everybody started finding out, but I think the only other way was he could have said, oh yeah, I fucked him. And it was always, how you say, my story against his story. So because it was my story against his story, the only way everybody felt like it was able to be settled was got to do something to him. So it was either you do something to him or we do something to you. And
After this happened, like, what was going through your mind? Were you hurt? Were you like, did you think like, can you just kind of walk us through like what goes through a man's mind when something like this happens?
yeah, my asshole was hurt.
Normally, people get put in what's it called? The infirmary. Did you seek to go?
I didn't tell nobody. I really, okay, I know you all have heard plenty of stories about women out here that get raped.
Right.
And how after it happens, even if they know the person, it's somebody that they've known for a long time, they still don't want nobody to know. They still don't want it to, they just want it to be an isolated incident And that's kind of what I was going to do.
Right.
It happened. It was over with, and I was just like, man, I like I said, I just stopped hanging out with the dude. I stopped going around him. Stayed in my unit. I would still come out and watch TV and whatnot, but I would not go nowhere where he was. And
did he try you again? Did he ever try to make you?
I've never talked. Well, he would send word through other people that we knew, like from New Orleans, that was in my unit. Hey, at that point it was Lil Red. Hey, tell Lil Red to come on over here and talk to me. And
so I have to ask, how long did it take you to, one, physically recover, two, mentally recover in regards to just getting back to normal?
Physically, probably, I don't know. I don't even know the time frame, but mentally, I mean, I think mentally deep down, I still have maybe some issues. Because even at one point, once I got to North Carolina, I started going to therapy. I started seeing a therapist, and for 10 years, I was in and out of therapy. And most of that was because of that, and to just learn about me in general, about my childhood, about me, why I was the way I was, and then how to continue to survive in prison from that point.
Like Baba Shaka was saying, technically, once word gets around that this happened, there should have been some type of form of either retaliation. Again, you already kept it solid. Like there should have been somebody in your corner.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Either they came to me. I'm saying they because it was Louisiana people and California people, because I was hanging around a lot of Crips too, and so it was like a collective. They was like, hey, if you're going to continue to hang around us and be with us, then you got to do something. Either if you don't do something, then we do something to you, because we can't have that, basically that blemish on our car, on our car, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so they felt like if I didn't do something, they'd do something to me. So
they put a blade in your hand. They put a knife in your hand.
Yep. It was an ice pick.
An ice pick. Who? And again, no, you don't gotta say no names, but as far as who within the group gave you that ice pick, was it somebody that's respected or just somebody that just
somebody that I guess they felt that I respected them because that was somebody I was talking to on a daily basis.
I see.
Because it was somebody more around my age.
I ain't gonna lie, for them to even get you the ice pick, that means they're serious about it. But what was it for you that made you not go through with?
Because I ain't got the heart for that.
And this is about how that ice pick getting put in your hand, about how many days or weeks or months after that this situation happened?
About a month.
About a month. So in a month, it wasn't in your heart to like put again, because we were talking, the people that listen to this are just normal people that live a 9 to 5 or probably, haven't lived that kind of life yet. To take a blade and say, let me a month later, not saying for no reason, but let me build it up in my heart to go either try to end this man. Because you got to end this man. You can't just stab him and intend to let me scratch his leg.
Yeah, because in instances like that, it's going to be a to death situation.
Yeah.
Because the only way you survive something like that is if once it starts, the police are kind of like right there to break it up.
Stop it up, yeah.
But other than that, if it's done off in the corner somewhere and the police can't get there, one of y'all gonna die. One of us would have, and it'd probably been me because I was the smaller one.
Was there any ounce in you that wanted to go through with taking this man's life? Like, was anything in you, like a percentage that said,
Yeah, I wanted something to happen to him, but me doing it, I was too scared to do it.
All right.
So did you like PC up? Did you say, hey, I want protective custody because I'm being harmed and no one's protecting me? Did you tell anybody? Did you tell the guards?
Yeah, before I got stabbed, I checked myself in. I was in the SHU for 2 months. And in that 2 month span, I had gotten a couple of notes from people that I knew on the yard. They was like, hey, everything is good. We done squashed everything. Everything is good. You can come out. Ain't nothing gonna happen to you. It's like, all right. So I started telling the police, hey, I want to go back to the yard. I want to go back to the yard. And of course, it don't just happen overnight, but after a couple of days, couple of weeks, they was like, all right, you can go. And what was, it was snow on the ground, because this was in Colorado. It was snow on the ground, and we didn't get a chance to walk through the yard itself. We walked through what they call the tunnel, because because of how Colorado was, and it was in the mountain, they had to have tunnels built. So if there was ever any inclement weather, even like fog, anything, the yard would have to get shut down. We could still operate. We could still go to work. We could still go to lunch, because some prisons I've been to, if there's fog, the whole prison shuts down until the fog clear. And sometimes that won't be until 11, 12 o'clock daytime. But by then, you'd have missed a half a day of whatever. But anyway, at Colorado, when they let me out to shoot that day, they sent me through the tunnel. And when I get to the unit, it was like, one guy, he was like, what are you doing back here? I was like, well, I got a couple of notes that said it was all right for me to come back out. He was like, no, bro. Now, cuz you got to go back up. You got to go back up. I was like, hold on. It was like, no, you let that shit happen to you. You can't be out here with us. You can't let that shit. He said, hold on, I'll be right back. And I'm standing in the cell talking to somebody. And next thing I know, he comes back in. He has gloves on his hands. So I was like, oh shit, this ain't finna go right. And before I knew it, he out of his pocket, and he started swinging, and I fought back, but it still wasn't enough to dodge the getting hit. And then I ended up getting out of the cell, and the police came, and I had a knot on my head, and that's kind of how I got caught from that, and then I went back in the shoe.
How long did you stay in there?
The second time after I got stabbed, 7 months, until I got transferred to another prison.
Where did you get stabbed?
I got hit in my arm and in my chest and in my back.
The sensation of being stabbed, was it ice pick, or do you even know what it was that hit you?
I assume it was, I say ice pick, but.
That sensation, did you know it happened as it happened?
You know, just the adrenaline of it all didn't register until after I got to the lieutenant office, and they was like, were you fighting? I was like, no. It was like, yeah, you are, because you got a bruise on your forehead. I was like, no, I wasn't. It's like, hold on, take your shirt off. And when I took my shirt off, that's when I seen I had been cut in my arm. But the police standing behind me was like, yeah, you got a cut on your back. And the police was like, it's like, damn. Like, all right.
Damn. And at this time, you're still 21?
Nah, by Florence, I was 22, 23.
So did the administration recognize that you couldn't make it in that type of setting? So,
well, I was transferred from Florence because of that. And then once I went to Florence, the next penitentiary I went to was Allenwood, Pennsylvania. So now I went from Kansas to Colorado to Pennsylvania. I did some good time at Pennsylvania until my past started to catch up with me again. People from one prison came there and was like, hey, he got raped at this prison, then he got stabbed here. So it was like, no, dude, you can't be on this compound either. But it just so happened that the psychology department came through and started talking to me, and they found out that although my sentence made me have to be in a penitentiary, my adjustment to the penitentiary life wasn't all that great. So they put what they call a management variable on me. And the management variable, it's basically a waiver. They waived the criteria that prevented me from going to a medium, which was my time. But my points was very, very low. I had like 6 points. So because of that, they was like, well, we're going to waive your time and drop you down to a medium so we can send you to this prison. And that prison was in North Carolina. And man, that was I had never done, that was the best time that I did, almost the entire time I was in prison. 5 years in North Carolina.
mind you, if you pay attention, some of your hardcore rappers that's around, they don't get a chance to go to these places that we was at. They in Texarkana, they in Fort Worth, but they supposed to be riders and thugs. They'll come on. I've been to the pen. Nah, you ain't been.
Yeah, I laugh at that too, though. I'm like, did he went to where?
Yeah, once you get those who are in the system know what levels.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, you got it easy over there.
It's like he ain't no way. Ain't no way.
So,
Did you ever contemplate suicide or anything like that? Did that ever come to your mind?
Yeah, I actually did a couple of times. I cut myself a couple of times. I actually tried to hang myself a couple of times. But every time I got in the process of doing it, I would like hanging. I hang there for a few seconds. I was like, this ain't gonna work. But as far as cutting myself, once that process started, a cut is a cut. It's there. Ain't no. The only thing is just a matter of how deep you gonna cut.
Right.
But yeah, I cut myself a couple of times.
When you were in solitary confinement, like, what was that like for you?
What do you mean?
Like, how did you ever have to like hear anything, any voices?
No, because almost every time I was in solitary confinement, I had a cellmate.
Okay.
And they try to pair you with someone that they feel, like in my case, because they knew while I was being placed in solitary confinement, the rape, the stabbing. So they tried to always pair me with someone that was basically as soft as I was.
Right.
They felt like nobody, that the person that they put me in with wouldn't compound the problem
Right.
that I was having.
How was your cellie like the person?
Oh, once I got in solitary confinement, I always had good cellmates.
Okay.
Did
they have any of the same experiences? Why?
No, well, if they did, they didn't because again, being raped in prison is not something that you talk about.
and I want to ask that because we don't get this story often to where, you hear of these actions that happen, but we don't ever hear these stories as you're, courageously enough coming to tell this story. And I, of course, if I ask why is that, we know why. But with that being said, did you ever hear of anyone else that had this altercation or that,
that got
was
raped?
violated, that was raped in prison? And what's the status of them? Because you do hear stories where that may happen, then all of a sudden they become either you could say, punks, or they become the wife of a cell. You're like, damn, it happened. We see movies to where that now he belongs to him. Did you see that in regards to any of the prisons to where you see someone come in normal, something may have happened that's innuendo you don't know of, and then you see that person belonging to that?
Well, again, it goes back to that 3 sides to every story. Because this person may say, oh, he took advantage of me, he raped me. That person would never, hey, I didn't do that. I didn't. So it's kind of like you have to, you hear it and you don't hear it unless something more becomes of it. Did anybody ever get locked up in shoe? No, I never knew of anybody getting locked up. Now, that was always rumors, hey, these two people went to the hole because he said he raped them, but after the investigation was over with, they both come back out. So now you left wondering, and did it really happen, or what was the situation? So it's kind of like you never really know, because unless you know either one of those individuals and you knew where they was coming from, you never really knew if it was true or not. You always just had to go with what you felt in your gut. So I never really knew anybody that came in and they didn't want it to happen and it happened. I never knew anybody like that.
What are your thoughts now on, there was a story about somebody, it's on Instagram somewhere, there was an argument to where the sexuality in prison, to where some people who do want to have sexual partners of the same sex in prison, that some prisons offer condoms to inmates and some don't. Is that true or not? I don't know.
I haven't heard that.
Bobby, you ever heard anything like that? Okay, so
now, I do know, like, the homosexuals, right as I was on my way out at like the last 10 years or so, the homosexuals had started to file a class action lawsuit against the BOP, which is the Bureau of Prisons, to get their hormone injections, hormone pills, to get bras sold to them, to get panties sold to them. Yeah. But as far as the other stuff, I never heard.
Now, you were sentenced to 39 years. You did 25, and COVID came in, and you've been released since then. But it wasn't easy to get released. It wasn't by chance.
No.
You had to have, I'm assuming, some friends or something in some high places. Or how did you get out?
Well, I'm gonna say around somewhere between 2018 and 2019, I started to research. Well, Trump was in office, and they had started to pass these different little laws, good behavior laws, good this, good that. So I started to, pay attention to that. So I reached out, and I remember when I first got arrested and I first going through all of this, my mom kept telling me, hey, the prosecutor wants to help you. He wants to help you. But, so I was like, no. Fast forward, I'm thinking, well, since the prosecutor wanted to help me then, why wouldn't he want to help me now? I'm not any more bad off now than I was back then, although now I'm probably even better. When I was in North Carolina for those 5 years, I was in college. I enrolled in college courses because there they actually had professors from the college down the street coming to the prison. So I was working on getting my associate's degree in business. So I'd already groomed myself to be better coming out than I went in. So once I presented all of this to my former prosecutor, because he wasn't even a prosecutor no more for the government, and I presented him with everything, and he said, well, get some letters from different people at the prison, like some of the guards, some of the administrators. So I started talking to them about it. They started writing letters, and I presented it to him, and he went to the prosecutor, hey, because he still had some pull. Hey, I got this guy, I prosecuted him 25 years ago. I need you to help me get him released. And just at that point, COVID started to hit, so they started to try to get people out because they was looking for space to create. So everything just kind of all clicked at the same time, and I got out.
Do you think your prosecutor, did he find out about the rape? Or did you tell him?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe I did.
So even now, and again, we're going to be jumping around just this last part, but you're free. Are you married with children?
No, the only son that I knew of that I had died 2 years ago from fentanyl overdose.
Condolences, man.
But no, I'm not married. It's just ain't right. Just life right now. I'm lifing.
Is Robin Banks out of your system? We just asked that in the last interview with Baba Shaka. We're like,
right? You joking?
we just asked that. We're like, do you still see cracks in the system as you go to your bank right now? Do you see cracks in their system, knowing what you know? And again, we're not condoning any kind of bank. We're not condoning nothing bad. I'm just saying, from an intellectual level, do you see cracks still?
You know what? All bullshit aside, in all honesty, I've went to a couple of banks because I'm actually doing business.
Yeah, you're a patron. Yeah,
I got checkers account, savings account. Yes, that part of me still looks around and be like, man, this would be this would be that. Or as I'm driving by a bank, I'm like, well, damn, this would happen, this could happen. But no, nothing beyond.
Because you look at things like you think things like Frank Lucas, he got out the game and he started helping the government catch the drug dealers or whatever, or the bad cops, let's just say. Like where even Catch Me If You Can, they start catching people with fraudulent checks. Would you ever help the government catch bank robbers? Like, hey, here's Here's this bank is easily going to get hit. This bank is very lickable. Would you do that? Yeah.
My honest answer would be, I would have to answer that in the moment.
Okay, yeah. See, present the question. You'll get an answer.
I don't know. It's sometimes it's difficult for me to answer questions in scenarios, like hypotheticals, because not in a hypothetical, not everything is detailed.
Right.
So therefore, it's hard for me to say what if. I don't know what if.
Do you have PTSD from, let's say even men being behind you, just talking to you, like, hey, you gotta talk to me in my face, talk to me in my eyes?
I still have some issues with some things, like sitting in restaurants or sitting in open areas. I don't particularly always sit with my back to the door. I sit where I can see everything that's going on. Even in restaurants, I like to at least sit where I can see the majority of where I'm at, just so I can see what's going on.
If there's any advice you could give to, again, there's kids that's going in there now, 18, 19, getting put into max security penitentiary systems. What advice would you give them when it comes to the signs that maybe you missed to say, look out for this, because somebody will they'll look at something about you and prey on that. What advice would you give them?
That is a very hard question.
Ooh, I know.
That is a very hard question, because, again, people are different. What I tell you may only work for you. It may not work for you, and you. See what I'm saying? Because everybody goes into prison differently. So it's hard to just answer that question.
So if you could you could say something to the man who did do this to you, what would you tell him? What would you say to him?
I mean, you knew that I was naive to this. You knew, because we had talked ad nauseum as to my background. And again, anybody that's from the streets can talk to me in 5 minutes and already be able to tell, oh, you don't know nothing about this.
Right.
Now I'm still kind of green, but not as much as I was back then.
Right.
Because now I've been around people from the federal system. They lock up people from all around the world, literally. Russia, China, you got all types of people in the federal system. So I had a chance to talk to different people from different walks of life. And that just kind of, made me open up my eyes to different things. And I would just tell him, that was wrong. Like he said, you should have been schooling me rather than trying to figure out how to take advantage of me.
Right.
Especially if you from my area and you calling me a homeboy, I'm supposed to be somebody you're supposed to be trying to look out for to protect me from the other wolves out there. But instead, you the one that laid there and was a sheep in wolf's clothing.
Right.
A wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
Shout out Reallyfe Street Starz, nigga. Move. Hey.